We are in day 150. Oh my gosh, it's just hard to imagine how fast it goes. And we are in 2 Samuel 15. And yesterday we studied how Absalom had done this massive takeover and had gotten so many people in Israel to follow him. And he was a bad dude that we found out. And here he kicks his own father out, who was the most faithful leader of all of Israel. And it says, as David left with his 600 men, the people of Israel that were for David were weeping, and they were devastated. And even Zadok the priest and the leaders of the temple were going with David, and they were carrying the ark of God out with them. But David instructed them, take the ark back. It's where it rightfully belongs. And I have to tell you, David was the most humble man, I believe, in the Bible. Considering he was king and had more favor, yet he always said, if it is the Lord's will. And that's the way we should all live our lives. And I'd love to read to you what David said. So when he told him to take the ark back, here's what he said. Then the king instructed Zadok to take the ark of God back into the city. And here's what he said. If the Lord sees fit, David said, he will bring me back to see the ark and the tabernacle again. But if he is through with me, then let him do what he seems best. Isn't that amazing? I would have probably gone, now, come on, God. Look at everything I've done. Look at all I've done for you. Come on. And you're going to let my evil son take over? But David didn't do that. He said, God, if you see fit, I will be back to see this again. Then after that, David was walking up to the road to the Mount of Olives, and he was weeping as he went. His head was covered, and his feet were bare as a sign of mourning. He was humbling himself. When someone told David that his advisor, Ahithophel, can we just say advisor? These names, was now backing Absalom, David prayed, O Lord, let him give Absalom foolish advice. Well, that prayer was answered, and we're going to see at the end of this chapter what happened. So after that, things just went from bad to worse. So let's think about this. Absalom, his son, betrayed him. His own commanders and leaders, many of them betrayed him. And then if that isn't enough, King David asked Ziba, where is Mephibosheth? Hope I said that right. He stayed in Jerusalem, Ziba replied. He said, today I will get back the kingdom of my grandfather Saul. So here is Mephibosheth, who was literally brought in by David because of a promise that he had given to Jonathan, his father. And he was crippled, and everybody else treated him like a dog. Yet David said, I will honor my word, and I will bring him to the king's table, and I will give him all of the properties that Saul and Jonathan owned. And he restored everything in a day to Mephibosheth. Mephibosheth. So when he heard that now even he turned against him and went to Absalom's side, this is called bad choices. And this is what happened. In that case, the king told Ziba, I give you everything Mephibosheth owns. See, he gave it to him, and if he's going to turn his back on him and go with the enemy, you'll lose everything. Bad choices, that's what can happen when we make bad choices in our lives. You don't want to make those bad choices, because he went from having nothing to literally being restored, eating at the king's table every night, and all of Saul's and Jonathan's properties been given to him. And yet he turns and goes to Absalom, and David goes, okay, Ziba, you now get everything that used to be owned by Mephibosheth. That's pretty astounding to me. And Ziba said, I bow before you. May I always be pleasing to you, my lord the king. So then we go down to, the Lord is paying you back for all the bloodshed. This is what happened, is when David walked through towns, Saul's old relatives and the people who loved King Saul started mocking him and ridiculing him and treating him so horrible. And this is what they were saying to David. The Lord is paying you back for all the bloodshed in Saul's clan. You stole his throne, and now the Lord has given it to your son Absalom. At last, you will taste some of your own medicine, for you are a murderer. Now see, that just shows you right there. People will come against us, and they will tell lies, and they will try to destroy us, and we know the truth. David had many attempts to kill King Saul, and he said, I will not touch God's anointed. And now they're saying, you're a murderer, you're a thief, you took what was rightfully Absalom's. It's a good thing he's coming back to get it. So you know what? We're just not going to get a fair shake in this world when we're doing what's right before God. We're not going to get a fair shake, and that's just how it goes. So reading on, it says, if the Lord had told them to curse me, who are you to stop him? Because one of his soldiers said, God, let me go cut his head off for mocking the king and treating you like that. What does David say? If the Lord has told him to curse me, who are you to stop him? That's humility that I've never seen before. He says, leave him alone, let him curse, for the Lord has told him to do it. And perhaps the Lord will see that I am being wronged and will bless me because of these curses today. See, he put it in the Lord's hands instead of taking it upon himself. I probably would have been a little tempted to say, fine, knock the guy's head off. Are you kidding me? But David did what was right. So what Absalom did is he absolutely answered David's prayer, and he started listening to this counsel, which was not wise. So he asked David's advisor that betrayed him, what should I do? What should I do next? And here's what he said, go and sleep with your father's concubines, for he has left them here to look after the palace. Then all Israel will know that you have insulted your father beyond hope of reconciliation, and they will throw their support to you. So they set up a tent on the palace roof, and Absalom was very busy at that time, and probably a little worn out, to be honest. And it says Absalom followed that advisor's, I can't say his name, just as David had prayed. For every word that he spoke seemed wise, as though it had come directly from the mouth of God. But we will see that it was actually bad counsel that was not of the Lord. Okay, we are in John 18, and it starts with that dreaded story of Peter denying Jesus 3 times, just as Jesus predicted before the rooster would crow. And then it talks about the leading priest, Caiaphas, who basically headed all the people to get them to bind together to crucify Jesus. They were out to single-handedly destroy Jesus. Okay, we are still in Psalm 119. It's one of the longer Psalms. It says, I hate those who with divided loyalty, but I love your instruction. You are my refuge and my shield. Your word is my source of hope. Get out of my life, you evil-minded people, for I intend to obey the commands of my God. Lord, sustain me as you promised, that I may live, but do not let my hope be crushed. Boy, I'll tell you, if our hope is crushed, then it's a sad state of affairs. And by the way, Jesus is our only and true hope. Only in him can we have hope. And it says, truly I love your commands more than gold, even the finest gold. Each of your commandments is right. That is why I hate every false way. And then in Proverbs 16, it says, the Lord speaks with divine wisdom. He must never judge unfairly. The Lord demands accurate scales and balances. He sets the standards for fairness. He's so specific, isn't he? And Proverbs, there's 31 Proverbs, and I think it's remarkable that there are 30 days on an average of every month. So there's basically, you can read a proverb a day, and I'm telling you, it's the most timeless thing you will ever read. All the same problems that people went through back then, we do the same stupid stuff today. I'm telling you, it is so timeless. So I am thrilled that we all get to go through this together. And sometimes I get tired and I stumble over words or whatever. But you know what? Thanks for hanging in there with me. And none of that other stuff matters. Let's just get to know God on a personal level by reading his word, which is basically the manual for daily living.